are commendable and desperately needed. But it's definitely a conversation we need to have as a Board of County Commissioners.
And I agree on that. So in closing, if the spreadsheet that Commissioner Hodgin mentioned, that way we can look at the expense and the timeline, and then that gives us what we need to do to make a decision on the commitment and time limit with regard to this. Sure. Do you want to send it to Mr. Wine and then some names?
You can just provide us with copies and information, we'll take care of it, it's like.
Okay, that's fine. Very good.
Tie it in there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have request to fill positions done.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. We just have the one request today from the Facilities Maintenance Department for a custodian, and it's due to a transfer to another department in this budget.
Take a motion. A motion for approval?
Yes, sir.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have draft bid 1313, gas meters, GS Amy Braden, Mike Baker.
Chief Decker will be with us this morning, but I can walk you through the intent of the bid. A little bit of background. What you have in front of you is an RFP that's intention is to replace aging equipment for the hazardous materials response team. That equipment, much of it has been with the team since the team's inception, roughly 2000, so it's over 10 years old. We think we've identified a cost-effective way to kind of combine the function of multiple types of meters and to deliver that here in this package for you. So the equipment combines two meters that we currently have into one type of multi-purpose meter with two functions. Those functions are first, would have the resource for the hazmat team of a 4-gas meter that would allow for example, metering around a propane tanker, such as the one that was recently in the town of Port Deposit. This would tell us whether or not the environment was oxygen deficient, there was explosiveness, and or that there was carbon monoxide present. So that is the first half of the intent of the meters that we are proposing to purchase through this RFP. The second is that the meter would also be capable of photoionization detection, and that basically says that if there is an unidentified substance that is applicable, the PID would promote the ability to identify what chemical that is. An example for you there is an incident at the landfill where there is a substance, we can't identify it by sight, and this would permit the identification with the meter. So those are some examples for you of how we might use them. I have a little bit of discussion for you on a cost comparison. Again, you can buy these two separate items separately. If you were to buy them separately, the cost would be roughly $4,200. The MX6 meter, which again has both of these functions combined, is going to be between $2,500 and $2,800. And we are requesting the purchase of 6 of these through the RFP. The funding source is state and local homeland security grant, which its intention is to promote the ability for a local jurisdiction to have be able to respond to hazardous materials incidents. That's one of the core competencies of that grant program, and that is why we have identified this funding source for these meters.
Questions?
I guess the packet that we got did not include the specifications, which really clarified. I didn't say you didn't do this, but the specifications clarified what it was other than the gas meter.
Sure.
Gas meter could be, natural gas meter, it could have been gasoline meter, and certainly, just a comment, and I guess you're here to ask us if it's okay to put this out.
Correct.
Can we, in the title, instead of just saying gas meters, can you to give it a little bit more specific terminology, that somebody reading through, and I don't know if you've seen the name of the website where you go, to just peruse, it would jump out them at the type of gas meter that they're looking for. So we're not talking about petroleum gas meters, we're not talking about natural gas meters, we're not talking about other things. There's got to be some term that you use in the industry of what this is.
Absolutely, we'll work with purchasing in the future to be a little bit more specific for ease of vendors, absolutely.
And I think that would help the vendors identify this proposal and say, that's what we do, and we'll give you a price, rather than everyone else. And I assume that the specifications are in that package.
And it's for propane gas, right?
No.
It's a detection meter.
I understand. I'm asking.
Yeah, so there's kind of correct, and there are multiple facets. So there's the chemical identification piece as well as the first piece.
I don't have it.
I know that, that's, we didn't have it, so it was, that's what I'm trying to explain, that people can
Because I read through
interpret
this
this.
yesterday, and I could not, I mean,
Is this,
natural gas meters, propane gas meters, you know.
Yeah, basically,
the DPI
when
comes
people
to
are
the gas meter, so-
looking for a bid to bid on, they need to find the correct words in their search. So I think that's what Commissioner Hodge is saying, we have to make sure that we put all the words out there for them to catch, that they would be qualified to bid.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you need to start listening to, that was
I
how.
believe
Use your professional judgment to rename that.
Thank you, sir. Okay, very good.
Thank
You're
you.
good to go. Okay, let's see, we have draft bid 1304, Zeus County Sports Complex, football field, baseball field, grading and drainage. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Before you this morning for your consideration is draft bid 1304, which encompasses the refurbishment of the baseball and football field at the Zeus County Sports Complex. Specifically, this will regrade both fields to deal with the current drainage issues of those that leave those sites unplayable for our youth groups in the community. It will also address the required NDE stormwater management necessities on that site as well. This project has been vetted through the Parks Board. It is in CIP as well as, it will be funded through CIP funding as well as POS funding.
Okay, so Clyde, this was on the list of projects that the Parks Board has prioritized for this year?
Yes, Commissioner.
So, Director Van Dyke, it looks like we're going to inherit some horses. Can you add horse trails to this package? And offer horseback riding as,
Maybe they could, we could eliminate some of our grass cutting expenses.
I was getting ready to say, Commissioner, I was telling you, grass that the horses could feed on.
Okay, so everybody okay with draft bid?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, very good. You're good to go, Mr. Van Dyke. Thanks, sir. All right, which brings us to commissioner items. Commissioner Dunn?
One quick item, wanted to bring to everyone's attention, the roof renovation at the Rising Sun Library has been completed, and I believe the library opened yesterday, and they will be hosting an open house on Saturday, September 29th. So,
Well, at the public hearing on the tier maps, I was amazed by the level of misinformation coming from public testimony, originating from a letter sent out from the Cecil business leaders and the patriots. I was able to get a copy of this letter and continue to be amazed by their brazen misrepresentation despite having the recordings to prove what my position has been all along. For those constituents that contacted me either by phone or email, I was able to communicate what my official position was by directing them to my website, dianaburl.com. As I have mentioned before, from the beginning I have taken a position that the development of the tier maps had to be a fair and equitable process, and oppose the map which selectively removes area out of the Tier 4. In addition, I have been a strong proponent of doing what we can as a rural county to have a stronger voice in Annapolis. I recommended we join the Rural County Coalition and support efforts to make this organization stronger and more relevant on a statewide level. Ironically, We had a major opportunity when SB 236 was being developed in Annapolis. Our representative on the Mako Legislative Committee was Commissioner Moore, whose responsibility was to update this board on the development of this bill. I didn't say anything previously when I discovered we were not consulted when Mako first testified in support of the bill with amendments. Originally, the rural counties were not pleased with Mako's position to support because it diluted the United Front in opposition. And this actually was an impetus for the Rural County Coalition to be formed. I was told it was Mako's strategy to work with the state in getting their requested changes in, and apparently it worked to Commissioner Moore's satisfaction because she ultimately voted to support the bill with amendments as presented. To support with amendments without notifying this board or checking with our planning department on what the effect of this bill would be created the situation we are in today. This past week, I contacted the Rural County Coalition and spoke with Reagan Charney and Blaine Young requesting a meeting to discuss SB 236, which I believe has been tentatively scheduled for September 19th. Jim and I were on Blaine Young's radio program, WFMD, which reaches 25,000 people in the Frederick, Washington, and Carroll County area, to discuss the concerns we have encountered in developing our tier maps. Reagan also agreed and has sent out the letter we sent to our citizens most affected by the tier 4 or by the tier maps to the members of the coalition in order for them to encourage them to also send the same letter to their counties and to get involved. So on a state level, we hope that we're getting the message out.
Commissioner Moore.
I'm just going to reply to that statement that it contains much misinformation, and I don't appreciate the attack. Commissioner Mullen, thank you very much for mentioning our Thank a Local Hero. There's a table right outside that will be available for you to write a note of thanks to the folks that take care of us on a day-to-day basis. Also, this seems to be our Animal Day. And I was contacted by the Plumpton Park Zoo, and they're participating in a grant opportunity through Chase Bank. They can be awarded up to $250,000 in grant opportunity. All you need to do is to either go onto the Plumpton Park Zoo site, or if you have Facebook, go onto their Facebook page and vote for Plumpton Park Zoo. And the more votes they get, the higher grant amount they get. So I just encourage everybody to do that.
I was going to pass, but I can't. Commissioner Brumall has continued every week to make accusations, to make inferences and innuendo of other commissioners in particular, of wrongdoing, misleading, and just untrue announcements on her part. And I'm going to give her the floor back because I want her to explain to the commissioners and to the public what was in the letter that the Patriots and the Cecil business leaders put out there. I want to know exactly what was misleading or wrong, what was bad information. I would like to have that out in the public on what was not true or what was misleading. So Commissioner Brumall, would you please explain exactly what was in that letter that was not true?
They said I supported the more restrictive map. They said I supported taking away property rights. I have consistently said I support draft map 4 with hearing back from the public on how to fairly adopt policies to equitably remove more property out of tier 4 and put it into tier 3. And it just so happened Vince Salmons, who's been videotaping, recording the meetings, the upstairs meeting, he's got it right on his video, us saying we supported draft map 4 with changes after listening to the public. I've been very clear about that, and it doesn't matter how many times I've repeated myself. Jackie Gregory and other people from the Patriots and the Cecil business leaders have consistently said, I'm for draft map 4 as it is.
Okay, well, if that's true, we'll be talking about it this afternoon, and if you really truly believe that what you just said, we will see what the results of that will be. If we've had a public hearing, and you've made your announcements, and the public has spoken. So we will be reviewing the testimony and deciding on what to do moving forward with the tier map that we put together. So I guess we'll see if it's true that you support a much smaller tier 4 area in the map.
Yes, sir. Okay, we're gonna have that discussion.
President Mullen, again, Commissioner Brumel has made statements that simply are not correct. I have a copy of the letter here in front of me. The letter says that Commissioners Diana Brumel, Jim Mullen, and Mike Dunn voted to move forward to public hearing a tier map. That is a correct statement. You also said that the letter accuses you of taking away property rights, but what the letter actually says is we have to speak up and let them know we feel this proposed tier map takes away our property rights and devalues our land. There are not personal accusations against you, Commissioner Brumel, and I just wanted to put for the record what the letter actually said instead of misstatements.
Commissioner Moore, hold on a minute, I will respond. Commissioner Moore, you didn't receive the phone calls I received. And that letter led people to believe that I was for the more restrictive map and that I was for taking away property rights.
You voted in favor of the map, and Commissioner Brumel, you don't know the
I
phone
voted
calls
in
that I
favor
received.
I voted in favor of the map with listening to the public and how we could remove more out of tier 4.
Well, we're gonna have that
Very
discussion
specific
this
about that.
afternoon. Point
And
of order.
why didn't you come back to us and tell us that you supported with amendments? I checked with,
We'll have this discussion today. We're gonna meet today.
it's okay for them to respond to me, but I can't respond back to them, Commissioner Mullen?
I'll give you one sentence and then we need to move on.
Okay, I just wanted to know why you didn't come back to us to say that you had accepted, you voted as our representative on NACO to accept with changes SB 236.
That actually is not correct. I voted against that position.
I believe,
what I heard, you voted for
I believe that Terry Moore is right. I remember there was a conversation about this. It is true that the board of directors voted, the majority of the board of directors of MEDCO voted to support SB 236 with amendments, but not Terry Moore. Terry Moore was in the minority of that vote, and I think it's very misleading for you to accuse her of something that she didn't do, which is totally false. And this continues what you have been doing week in and week out for I don't know what good cause. I don't understand what you're trying to do. Is this campaigning against Terry and for another candidate? Or I would like her to explain why she continues to mislead the public.
Oh, so I'm not the one that's misleading the
Honestly,
public.
this isn't going
And I think
anywhere.
you're the one running for
No,
election.
this isn't going anywhere. We're gonna talk about the map today and follow up with the testimony we've had, and honestly, we're just spinning wheels here today back and forth, so I'd like to move forward. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Okay, thank you. To that point, Mr. Wine has handed me an email, the Maryland Rural Counties Coalition information from Cherney Reagan, that they're tentatively scheduling for September 19th at 2 o'clock to see if they can use the Mako conference room for the Maryland Rural Counties Coalition. I think everybody should have gotten this.
So the meeting will be in Annapolis?
That's what they're proposing. They're asking for everybody to respond. I looked on here, just out of curiosity, all 5 of us are in this band of emails. So with that, thank you. Mr. Wong.
Mr. President, members of the board, staff recommends that the board move to closed session to discuss candidates for appointment to the fill vacancy on the Board of Parks and Recreation.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion to move into closed session.
Can I-
Second? Second.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Is it okay for Mr. Van Dyke to sit in on this discussion?
It's up to the board.
Is there any reason Mr. Van Dyke can't sit in and just help us make a decision?
Well, if we're gonna vet names though, that's important.
Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, we did receive this.